I'm sorry, I need to take this phone call. I'd like to reopen the Washington Unified School District Regular Board of Education meeting for March 24th, 2016. I'd like to apologize to everybody. We had a lot of business this evening, and thank you for staying. The announcement of items to be discussed in, that were discussed in closed session. Apologize, hold on. I want to apologize to everybody. I'm a little bit discombobulated, and I'll apologize about the telephone call. About an hour before my meeting, my mother was rushed to the hospital, so I'm getting updates. So I apologize if I'm a little off tonight or discombobulated, but I'll do the best I can. The announcement of actions taken in closed session. Item E1, Government Code Section 54956.9D1, pending litigation, case number 1. We had 3 ayes and 1 abstention by myself, Alicia Cruz. Pending litigation cases, information were received on case number 2. Pending litigation on case number 3, information was received and direction given to staff. On agenda item E2, Government Code Section 54957.6, conference with labor negotiators, WTA, CSEA, management. Information was received and direction was given. In our agenda item E3, we will return back to closed session at the end of our agenda. And if I can get Dimitri to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I need a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 communications and celebrations. I think we have one. Okay.
President Cruz, Board of Trustees, and guests, this evening is our Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services, Bill Spalding's last board meeting with us after many years of service in the Washington Unified School District. And I believe the board has a celebration token to send him off well to his new appointment as superintendent. Mr. Spalding, if you'll come up, please. Maybe you can just explain where you're going to be superintendent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, everyone. It's really with mixed emotions that I do this because, in fact, I was kind of reflecting on this earlier tonight. I walked in and kind of looked around, and it's been 5 years, and so I really just appreciate having had this opportunity, and I've learned so much, and I've learned so much from you, and learned so much from Linda and from cabinet and staff. I'll be going to Merced County to a little community called Dos Palos or Aloma, and it's a district of about 2,500 students, 6 schools, and it's going to be exciting. And it's a great and exciting kind of new adventure for me. So I want to thank you, and I want to thank you for the opportunity and the learning and all the things that we've done together. You know, I started thinking about the work in VAPA and technology and CTE and the Bright Center and all those kinds of things. All these have happened over the last few years, so it's just been a great ride. Thank you.
I think a few of us have some words for you.
Okay. Thanks.
Board Member Kirby Gonzalez?
I'll go ahead. I've so appreciated since I first came on the board, I always knew that I could call you up, ask a question, and get a response right away. And not just a response, but sometimes then even come on in my office, let's talk about it, or here's the book you can read, which I would always read. And it's been really nice to have that relationship, that open door policy, and I really appreciate that. And I wish you nothing but the best. I know that you've had a big impact here in 5 years, and I'm sure that you will make a huge impact where you go. So good luck to you, and
Thank you.
You'll be missed.
Thanks.
Board Member Alcala?
Thank you. Bill, I'm really going to miss you. When I first came on the board, you opened your doors and sat down, had time for me to ask 1,000,001 questions, and it really gave me a very good understanding of, where we were in the district. And I also saw you at all the events. It's wonderful to now see Linda at a lot of these events. Scott, we saw you there too, but I saw Bill at every one of those events. So I want to thank you for your dedication, all the hard work, and the great conversations we've had, especially concerning many of our low-income students, minority students, and, the pathways that, you opened and led, our students to, and helping them, bridge some of that achievement gap that we struggle with every day. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Board Member Pizzotti?
Bill, as the newest board member, I haven't had the longest time to work with you. But I did want to say what I really appreciate is sitting here learning from you as you make your presentations. All of this is relatively new to me, and learning from somebody with your experience has really helped me kind of open my eyes to the things that are not seen. And I really do appreciate that. So thank you, and the best of luck to you in your new endeavor.
Thank you. Thanks.
And Katie's not here this evening, but I'm sure she sent the same gratitude I do, because I'm one of the senior and oldest on here, and I want to thank you for putting up with me. Because when I came on the board, I had little to no knowledge. And I know together we visited the Farm to Fork Avenue, the Career Tech. And you'll all find out earlier. I know, hopefully you'll come back and see it, but we picked up a chicken coop on our way to our Farm to Fork. So things are happening.
Sorry, Scott.
We're not telling him. But you brought some good things to this school district and to our kids. And,
Thank you.
While you'll be well missed, I do congratulate you on your endeavors, because I know it's something that you wanted. And we do have a little token of our appreciation for you.
Oh, that's nice.
And our association report, our student is on spring break. We gave her a break. WTA report, are we going to, Ms. McMahon?
Dawn's on spring break.
Dawn's on spring break, okay. CSEA? Oh, they're hard workers, they're not on spring break.
I've been busy moving transportation. We are in the process of getting a classified vacancy list from HR because we've kind of been hearing that people have been subbing in positions for quite a while now. So we're just waiting for that list to come out so we can get those vacancies filled up.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. We have public comments. I have two. Mr. Ed Diggs.
So I'm here to talk about the smaller districts for the board. So you all currently represent 22,228 people, voters. So if you think about that, in 8 weeks, you can potentially talk to all 22,000 voters if you spend 5 minutes per voter with 232 hours per week. So 8 weeks, working that many hours, it is, unoptimistically, 64 more hours than there are in a week. So the proposal for smaller districts would mean that you each represent 4,446 voters. Potentially, you could go to all those voters in 8 weeks with 46 hours per week. And I figure in a normal campaign, it's hard to spend like a whole year campaigning. So you would just put in about 2 hard months of going door to door. And so it is really possible with a smaller district to go to all of your voters. And so one of the challenges of our current system, where you all represent the same large district with 22,000 voters, is the only way for you to possibly reach all those voters in a short time where people are remembering that it's about time to vote and who you are, is to reach them all with envelopes. So it becomes a campaign based on envelopes rather than door to door. And the only way for you to reach all those voters is with raising a huge amount of money. So strategically, just thinking purely based on how you're gonna win, you really gotta think, how am I gonna talk to every voter, every donor? Because you can't reach 22,000 voters, so you really have to reach a lot of donors. And I think it dramatically changes the focus of winning and who you're talking to. You're talking to a bunch of donors, hearing the concerns of donors, and it makes it really hard for you as candidates to ever think about, going door to door and talking to people about their personal solutions. I think money really has a corrupting influence, and with this small district, with only, if each of you have your own district, 5 of you, with 4,446 people each, you really can make it all about people. And we really need a more direct democracy, and we need smaller districts. Thanks.
Thank you. I have another public comment, Maria Grijalva.
I love the informality of this place. My purpose is twofold. One was to direct the comment to Katie, but my luck would have it is that she's not here. But I agree with you very much. Single-member districts is very important. So the last time that you folks met, Norma brought up a matter of single-member districts. And so the only true way for you to understand the need for single-member districts is for you to step inside the shoes of a person of color. And for that reason, I brought that handouts that I brought you. What moved me to come here today was a comment made by Katie, and I really wish I could have, anyway. As this matter was being discussed, Katie mentioned the inconvenience having single-member districts in Woodland was having on the existing members because they were going to have to move into their districts to protect their seats. And that's why we have single-member districts. And so when Katie said this, I was sitting in the living room watching you guys, and my jaw dropped. I actually said to myself, forgive her, for she knows not what she says. The comment was a textbook example of a person practicing white privilege. And I don't want to offend anyone with those words, but her words were offensive. I don't know Katie personally or very much of you personally, but I know a little bit from watching you guys over the television over time. And I don't think that there's a mean bone inside Katie. I really don't. I think I like Katie, actually. I like all of you guys, actually. And personally, I don't think that any of you would deliberately write policy that would hurt anyone, okay? But lack of information can make us naive or ignorant or say things that we didn't know we were saying. And so I wish I could elaborate, but I can't. I attended some training over at Sac State Educational Administration and Policy Studies Master's Program. And in this program, I was trained to understand white privilege and how this bias can be implemented inside public policy. So when I heard Katie's comment, it really moved me to come here. In fact, it moved me to do a lot more. You have no idea. In fact, Oscar also made a similar comment, and I'm going to be sharing my sentiment with him soon. And so anyway, so that's that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
We have board comments at this time. Board Member Pizzotti.
I'm going to actually defer to the brevity of time right now.
Oh,
Let's make it quick.
Board Member Alto.
Just three really quick things. I had a wonderful opportunity to attend the NALEO Policy Institute on School Governance in Washington, D.C. on March 15th and 16th. A tremendous opportunity to interact with school board members from across the country. And we covered, just real quick, parliamentary procedures, an overview of the Every Student Succeeds Act, which also addressed the implications of the ESSA on state and local budgets, an overview of the budget process, and adjusting roles and increased responsibility of local control with ESSA. So I'm looking forward to being able to share this with all of you. I can give it to Linda so she can make copies because there's tremendous information on here. Second item is on March 30th, I will be attending the Yolo County Quality Preschool for All, a forum that we're having at the Comfort Inn, Kobe. I know that's an interest to you, so it starts at 6 p.m. And it'd be great if you can attend. We're hoping to have the Board of Supervisors pass the 1/8 cent tax, which would really mean universal preschool for all of the Yolo County children. It would allow those working parents who don't qualify because one is whether if you're below the poverty line, you know, your children can attend a lot of the schools such as the preschool programs for low-income families, and if you have a lot of money, well, obviously that's not an issue for you, but we have a lot of working families that have to pay very high tuition costs, and we know how important early childhood education is to the success of a student. So we're hoping to have that put on the ballot for November, and if anyone else on the board is interested, please come. There are a lot of stakeholders throughout Yolo County that are coming to these meetings. And then finally, on March 12th, I had another great opportunity to go to the Latino Issues Forum. Just a lot of issues, everything from immigration. We had a lot of school board members that talked about the income inequality and how students from such households, fare, Latino students fare in the workforce and just throughout life. So Jesse Ortiz, our superintendent of schools, along with other electeds, attended. I believe there were about 40 in attendance, and it provided very good information for everyone. That's it.
Thank you. Board Member Kirby Gonzalez?
Thank you. Along with Board President Cruz, I attended the teacher and parent universities, and they were held on a Saturday, and what a fabulous event. It felt so good. The second you walk onto campus, it was at the high school, and you hear the music. Our high school students greeted everyone, and you walk in and there's food there for you, which I've been to many PDs in my 12 years of teaching, and then before that, credentials and student teacher associations, and they've cut all that stuff at a lot of places right now for PD. And so sometimes it's just those little things that make you feel appreciated, that make you feel good. And then I went to the physical education workshop. So for the teachers, there were all sorts of workshops that they could go and attend, and that happened to be the first one in the room. And so I joined in, and I was dressed completely wrong to do physical education, but it was really, really fabulous. And as they were working together, the collaboration was what was so great. I mean, teachers were saying, "Oh, I could do this right away in my classroom." Well, what about trying this? Well, what do you do if a student has this challenge or that challenge? I mean, they were really authentic, good conversations around students, and it was wonderful. And in fact, I went back to my own classroom of fifth graders, and I did all those physical education things I learned with them, and they loved it.
Charge you.
I know. I also attended some of our technology too, and how exciting that was. Again, in the rooms when you walk in, there's this chatter, this exciting chatter of people happy and really engaged. And since then, even workshops I didn't go to, I've had people come up to me and tell me that they really love the strategies, and there were things that they could do right away. It wasn't, sitting through a class where you think, how is this going to apply to me? Does this person know anything about real education and how this would actually work in a classroom? Because they did. And so I was just really proud of that. So nice job to the folks that all did that. It was fantastic. At the same time was Parent University, which was happening. And so parents were there, they were engaged, and they were hearing from outside agencies, from everywhere from the library to other services that are offered. School psychiatrist was offering some suggestions for how to talk with your children. So there was a whole bunch there, and then they broke off into workshops too, things that were interested to them. And again, there was a great energy in the room. A lot of them brought their kids, and it was just a really special time. And a principal came up and said, in all my years of teaching and being in education, which was over 30 years, this has been one of the greatest things I've seen for parents. And so it's just feels so proud. And then what I love so much was staff didn't just say, okay, we did this great, we'll maybe do another model, just like this. They said, no, we're reflective, we're thinking, we're making changes to make it even better. And so what I saw that day was something that is very rare to see in our region. I mean, it was really a model for what strong professional development could look like. The only thing that I would say is that in the PE room I was in, there was 4 teachers, and it would be so great to have. There's a lot of resources invested in that. I know the person that was there was being paid for their time, and so that would have been great to have everyone there if everybody could experience it. And then the only caveat that I'll bring up too is that possibly if we have outside folks doing the trainings, and if something to think about and let simmer is if we have our inside folks doing the trainings, our teachers, thinking about having a stipend or pay or something that would go along with that, rather than just the same as if you were sitting in a seat. I think you get 2 hours to prep for your class, but it's a cost savings for the district to have folks, and it's just sort of a win-win. And then I'm excited too, tonight we have 2 new TOSAs, a teacher moving into VAPA, and I've already heard from them. They're excited for their roles. I think they're going to be a really strong fit there. May is Foster Awareness Month. One of our high school students, Rosalinda Perez, she does the Foster Youth Incorporated at the high school, and she's so well-spoken. I met her first at the West Sac Foundation giveaway that she had raised money for. She is they're teaming up with UC Davis, because students, when they first enter the foster care system, they're given 2 garbage bags to collect their things. And so this is a completely student-run, driven fundraiser to have duffel bags, because they don't feel any student should get a garbage bag for their things. So for $25, they have a duffel bag with a teddy bear and some other things in it. So you can look at Together We Rise, which is the fundraising site, and look up UC Davis students and see this drive that they're having. Also, I've seen lots of work on the roofs. It feels good to drive around. Even though you can't see it when it's done, you see all the folks up on top of the roof working on our schools, and so it's great to see that getting done all over the district. Thank you.
Thank you. And as Board Member Kirby Gonzalez stated, we went to the Parent and Teacher University, and I know the comments were for the Teacher University that more parents appeared than they thought they would have. So that's a great thing. I know it was the first time. Superintendent Luna went around to each table, introduced herself, and it was just a great time. And the workshops that were offered to the parents were great. I didn't make it over to the Teacher University this year, but I saw them all leaving. Gave Principal Woodcock a big hug, because I know he's retiring soon. I did attend last year, and I'm not sure of the numbers, if we had more teachers this year than last year, but it's a great thing, and something I have suggested is that we offer a CSEA workshop at some point also. So I do want to let you know that Saturday, I started my morning 9 o'clock, dropping my son off for basketball, ran over to the Parent University, and then at noon I went over to the Convention Center to watch our culinary students compete in a culinary competition. And if you watch those Food Network channels, that was about as stressful as you can get. For the first time, 4 of them, they had a judge standing there the whole time watching everything they did. They had about 20 more judges roaming around watching them. They had to produce 4 dishes. They had to come up with their own menu. The teamwork was awesome. It was a pretty big competition for them, so I was glad I got to go over there. I haven't heard the results. I know they didn't place first, second, or third, but we're waiting to hear their points. But that was a great competition, and it was just a great experience to go to, and I hope to see them more and more. And I give kudos to Miss Sutton, because she was on pins and needles chewing her nails the whole time, because you can't talk to the kids, you can't tell them what to do. So the parents were in the audience cheering them on. They had a great MC that just, they wanted to hear from Bright. It was just an awesome experience. So after that, the following Sunday, Miss McAllister and I went out in the pouring rain at 10 o'clock. We went out to Fairfield. She had her Humvee, and we rented a U-Haul, and we picked up a chicken coop for our farm to fork with 2 chickens that already have produced some eggs. So, we're well on our way with that. So that was pretty exciting for her. Also, I wanted to thank the students, because they're listening. I don't know if they're sitting at home or what, but I have gotten so many requests for scholarships, recommendations, and I'm spending hours sitting at home filling them out, but I don't mind, because that's what I've asked. So you guys get those, fill them out for these kids, because every time I look in my mailbox, I'm like, oh my gosh, these students are working. So, but it's exciting to see they're taking us up on those offers, and they're actually applying for those scholarships. And on behalf of Katie, she's not here tonight, but she wanted me to remind, and you can email her, but they're having their annual fashion show. I think it's April 15th. It's the Friday after our next board meeting, I think. And some of our high school students and professional models will be out there, and it's at City Hall. And I think there's some tickets, but she wanted me to remind you of that. And with that, I know we have I'm sorry. Sure.
I just wanted to bring up the chicken coop that you had mentioned, and I wanted to share with the public, in case they didn't know that Board President Cruz actually saw a need for a chicken coop. There wasn't one, and so she researched it, she found it, and she purchased it. So I thought she needed a shout out for that, because that was a very thoughtful thing. I think that's great.
As long as it was named Alicia's Cackling Hens, I'll be good. That's all I ask. But no, I did it for this kids. I mean, they actually, I think we're gonna see them next board meeting, and they're really excited about having the chickens. And I think Miss McAllister, she's more elated than anybody. And actually the lady we bought it from, I think they created a great friendship now. But it was a great opportunity. We do have superintendent comments, but I think you're deferring to Yorgos is going to do.
Right.
Okay, so we have information item, board discussion, West Sacramento Early College Prep Charter School update. Linda Luna.
Is this the first time you've actually had to raise that?
It feels good.
Thank you, President Cruz and Board of Trustees. And before I begin, the information on the West Sacramento Early College Prep Charter School, we've heard lots of comments about our teacher and parent university, and it's smashing. I mean, there's no other way to say it. And all of the evaluations that come from these teaching universities are completely positive. And everybody looks forward to it. Our attendance has increased. But, you know, all of those things don't come together just by themselves. And so I want to give a shout out to the 3 people in this room who put all of that together. And that's Matt Wilkins, who is our TOSA in staff development, and also Dmitry Voloshin, Dr. Dmitry Voloshin, who's our Director of Curriculum and Instruction, and also our Assistant Superintendent, Bill Spalding, under Ed Services. All of their efforts and time and technology, Kim Harrison and her staff, just getting everything all together. So a big shout out to Ed Services for making this happen for our teachers. And the parent university, I can't wait for next year to do more. And we are going to take another step of professional development next year and ensure that all staff members in the entire organization move towards staff development for themselves. Everybody, this is a learning institution, and so we all will engage in that. All of our classified staff will as well, and we'll have plans for that next year. Okay, so we're going to give this evening an update on the West Sacramento Early College Prep Charter School. And we're going to give an update on this to the board because we are the oversight entity of this particular charter school. I also serve on the board of directors with the Early College Prep Charter School. And so I'd like to give a little bit of context to remind everybody about this particular program, what the current status is that the board of the Early College Prep Charter School has been discussing, and how it could potentially impact Washington Unified School District and possible opportunities for our students. In terms of the context of the program, the initial petition for this particular independent charter school was approved in April of 2007. The school opened its doors in 2008, and it is currently still located on the Fallbrook Way campus. There was a petition renewal from the Washington Unified School District Board that was approved to continue the independent charter status in 2011. So the charter petition is in play for 2012 through 2017. The petition renewal is up next school year by June 30th. The program itself of this particular charter school, because each charter school has to be identified for a specific program, something that is different than the public school that the public school entity is not offering per se. So in this particular program of the Early College Prep Charter School, it was a unique petition in that it was a partnership with actually the school district and with UC Davis in the program of not just college prep, but also in the area of inquiry and project-based learning. And at that time, the Common Core state standards were not in place in the year 2007. And we were living heavily on the California state standards that were adopted in 1999. So project-based learning was quite different than what the No Child Left Behind model was at that time. Currently, project-based learning and inquiry is really the basis of where Common Core standards are moving towards, where the 21st century skills are looking towards. So that's why it's important in the charter renewals that we look at the foundation of what the programs are, and is it something different, truly different than what the public education entity is actually providing to their students or not providing. I think the important thing about the Early College Prep Charter School is the second bullet there, where they are truly grounded in the mission of college preparation for student subgroups who are historically underserved and underrepresented. We're talking about students of poverty or students who may not have any family members who have gone to college. So it may be that these students are the first generation to actually receive to go to college. So that's the basis of the Early College Prep Charter School. So at this time, what I'd like to do, because this evening you're going to hear the second interim budget report for Washington Unified. All charter schools also submit their second interim budget to us as the oversight entity. Scott Landsberger, our Assistant Superintendent of Business Services, has looked at Early College Prep's second interim budget, and at this time, it is our responsibility to bring to the board what their current financial status is, and possibly some concerns that we must consider.
Thank you. I'll be very brief. We did a standard AB 1200 review of the charter school, and so I'm just going to go over some highlights of what we discovered as we went through that process. They have a deficit projected for their current fiscal year. We did see that at first interim as well. It's gotten a little bit better. Their deficit for the current year is $257,000, and they end up with an ending fund balance of about $363,000, and it's about $35,000 better than what they projected at first interim. So they've tightened up a couple things since then. We then quickly went to cash management, because when you see a deficit that is as high as that compared to the fund balance, we were concerned about what was going on with cash. Cash for the period ended, or projected period ending June 30th of 2016 is a positive cash position of $299,000. And that's enough to cover payroll going through the summer months, but we're going to have to pay close attention to what's going on in their cash positions as they get into the start of the school year next year. We then went to look at factors that are having an impact on their revenue stream, and we looked at their average daily attendance. They're in declining enrollment, and their decline in enrollment is not small. Currently, it's pretty significant. They dropped from 154 to 102 students in a 2-year cycle. That's about a third of their population. But even more troublesome is their ADA rate has dropped from 93.5% to 86.54%. Respectively for 13-14 and to 15-16. So not only do we need to work with them on addressing the enrollment, but it's once they're enrolled, you need to continue to get those kids to school.
Can I ask you a quick question, Scott?
Sure.
Have you had conversations with them as to why their enrollment is declining?
No, I have not. Another issue that we looked at, and this is, you can see this in their local control funding formula calculation, which they post with part of their interim report, is that the unduplicated pupil count is dropping proportionally as the population is dropping. And the challenge with that is if the rate continues to fall by the 17-18 fiscal year, they're going to be below 55%. Unlike a school district, they do not get a buffer year. A charter school does not get a buffer for declining enrollment or the unduplicated pupil count. So the year that it drops below 55%, they lose their concentration funding. They just get the supplemental, but they don't get that second add-on for having an unduplicated pupil count above 55%. Staffing currently, there's a few things that we found, and we think this is just, again, another factor for them. The average years of experience for their staff is 4.88. The average tenure for their staff is 1.48. So they have high turnover and low experience, and that's going to be a contributing factor. So we need to work on addressing that issue as well. As I state there, it's going to be a factor in retention of students. Teacher-student ratio is dropping rapidly. As you look at the interim report has a ratio of 1 to 13. And in the out years, as the population is dropping, the staffing does not drop as quickly. And in the 16-17 year, the ratio is down to 1 to 8. For 17-18, it's flat. So the multi-year projection, when we look at their multi-year projection and we apply our criteria, and the criteria for charter school is just a little bit different, but when you apply the criteria of a positive, a qualified, or a negative certification, they would be a negative certification if they were a school district. 16-17 ends with a negative fund balance. So that is an issue that we're going to have to address within the next year. Revenue is dropping as a result of the decline in ADA by 37%. However, the expenditures are not dropping as quickly because when that revenue or the ADA goes this year 102, next year they're projecting 60. So they're seeing a significant drop in revenue, but not as quick of a drop in expenditures. And so we'll need to do some work on that. And also the expenditures in the what I call the 4Xs and the 5Xs, which are your operating expenditures and your supplies and your materials and things like that. They do show a drop in their multi-year projection in those expenditures. However, there's not enough detail for us to really be able to determine what else could be done in those areas. And we've asked for additional information from the school, and so we'll have some conversations with them as far as how their expenditures are running in those categories.
Trustee Posadi, I think I want to just value add to a statement that was shown in the financial status that the school has shown a high turnover rate of staffing. And I can confidently say that at this point, they are pretty stable with their staffing. The staff is fully committed to the program, to the school. They care very deeply about the program itself and particularly serving the students of that particular population. But it has had some rough years prior to me being here. I just hear the stories and the journeys that they've walked, and they don't hide that, but that does contribute greatly to declining enrollment. They have tried to address their daily attendance. They have a difficult time in getting students to come to school on time or to come to school to finish a day. Part of that is that their budget is so small. All they have enough support staff for is the classroom. They have a technology teacher that supports and coaches technology because that is part of the program that they have. And they have a mental health specialist. But outside of that, they have nobody to support them in terms of outreach consultants, getting to the parents, calling those kinds of support things for the very needy students. And that, I think, is part of where they're at after all these years of the program, that it is time to make a determination. If this program continues, they need more help and support in order to truly have a successful program. So in that manner, that would be my humble opinion about the drop of attendance and enrollment, is turnover of staff and just the lack of support staff they have to get kids here like we have in our student services department. So when we think about the future of this particular independent charter school, of course, we're concerned of the financial stability. In terms of what their projections are for next year, at this time, at this moment, they have enough only to make it through the first semester period. They will not be able to fulfill a full school year, next school year, in their current financial standing.
What would happen after that? Would the students go to?
At that point, it becomes a process about the closure of the particular charter, and what my biggest concern probably is with the students.
Right.
Yeah.
Linda, I have a question. I mean, the enrollment's so low, and if we're only going to go another semester into the next year, wouldn't it be advisable to maybe consider, their administration should consider, that we have to absorb these students?
Yeah, I think I would like to make some recommendations for some very near future conversations to take a look at that. The other thing is the concerns of the students needing an alternate program. So we're talking about students who have chosen to leave the comprehensive high school life. And what they have chosen is a smaller contained program, so that their classroom sizes are smaller, or perhaps there's more intimacy in their teaching and learning because the classes are smaller and they don't have the full gamut of the comprehensive high school offerings. So in considering that, we need to look at what some options are. So if I may, I'd like to just offer some options for the board to consider. Currently, what we have in West Sacramento, I'm just talking about our city in general. Here are some of the choices that our high school students have. They have a comprehensive high school. There's one in this city, and that's River City High School. We have an alternative high school, and that's Yolo High School. We also have a county alternative program, which is the Cesar Chavez High School program. And that particular program we heard a little bit about earlier this school year from our county Office of Education. But this particular program is for students who are near incarceration, who have been expelled. So it's a very different kind of alternative. The other choices that, if you're a high school student in West Sacramento, is you have the option of the early college prep charter school. You also have an option of an independent study online charter school. You also have choices of private schools. Most of our private choices of our families are Christian Brothers or Jesuit or St. Francis. That is not in West Sacramento. So when we consider the high school choices here, it's very important that our high school students have choice. And the reasoning for that is because we have only one comprehensive high school in this city. And what we have learned is the students of today's generation, I don't know what we call them. Do we call them millennials? I just know that when I think about our high school kids, my son and my daughter are not very far away from this generation that we're serving today. But in the generation of my daughter and my son, when they went to high school, I can tell you that my daughter thrived in a comprehensive high school because that's just her. She loves the program. She loves the options. She loves the big. My son did not. We prayed for him to graduate, and here I was, an educator in our district. And what served him was online and small, intimate in college, finally making it. But you see, every child is different. So when we look at what our focus is here in West Sacramento under Washington Unified, our focus is to ensure that all of our students are college and career ready. So how have we addressed that here in our district? We are ramping up our career, technical education, and career pathways to college. We've received the state grant, the CTE grant, to really ramp up the rigor of our CTE pathways. We've opened the Bright Culinary Program. We have just been awarded the Exemplary Distinguished Program out of 411 CTE pathways. One of ours out of 411 was identified as a distinguished program. We are doing really, really well. We also have block schedule, and block schedule is when students are able to take classes in term. So in other words, instead of a full-year course, the rigor and the time that they spend of their course is in one semester or one term. What that means is potentially our juniors and our seniors could graduate early. Now, my question is where are they going? If they already have their credits at the end of their junior year, where are our students going? Because the reality is, at least 80% of students in California graduating from high school have to go into remediation math and remediation English. Now, that's a bigger problem in itself, but it is a reality. So my question is if we're on a 4x4 block schedule and our commitment is to have our kids ready for college and career, we can offer our seniors dual enrollment. We can offer them to enter into community college credits. We have West Sacramento Community College right here in our own backyard. And so holding on to that concept, I know River City is working on that. It's a slow walk, but my commitment would be to ramp that up. And possibly this particular charter program could be that venue. Again, I mentioned the dual enrollment. That means that kids are enrolled in some of the high school classes and some community college courses. And that means they're literally getting community college credit because it's being taught by a community college teacher. And so the students are able, as a senior or as a junior in high school, to have community college credits when they graduate with their high school diploma. So what about another alternative? So the early college prep high school is currently looking at still serving the historically underrepresented students, the students of poverty, the students who do not have family members going to college. They want that. I know that, I've seen that, I've heard their discussions as a board member. So the concept of dual enrollment, and they do have West Sac Community College on their campus once a week like we do at River City, but the concept of looking at a particular program of a true partnership between a high school and a community college to do true dual enrollment is what we call a middle college high school program. And that is when students, even starting in the 9th grade, could potentially start taking some community college courses and be dually enrolled as a high school student in Washington Unified School District and at the West Sac Community College. So that potentially when this program like this is grounded and moving and all entities are put in place, essentially a high school kid that starts this in 9th grade could walk away with an AA and a high school diploma at the same time. Now, that would not be a guarantee of 100% of students. Of course, you're going to work towards that. But the distinguished schools, actually, they're not distinguished schools, they're blue ribbon schools in the nation that are middle college high schools, have very high percentages of their students not only graduating with a high school diploma, because they can still do a regular high school program there, but the advantage is that they can still also take community college courses in that partnership. there's a high percentage that actually do walk away with an AA. And if they don't walk away with an AA, they can at least walk away with units between 30 to 60 units because they've started this in ninth grade. Now, there are programs out there. There are programs that are local, not very far from us, that are actually doing this right now. And so that is why this thought is coming to the West Sacramento Early College Prep program, because of their concept of early college preparation. How can we get a program in place to truly meet that particular concept? So in these conversations, what I would like to do, and the board of directors of the West Sac Early College Prep Charter School is going to do, is observe a middle college, high school campus along with West Sac Community College. And Art Pimentel, who is the dean of the Community College Center here, we are going to be visiting a very successful program of middle college, high school campus, and it's actually in Lodi Unified, and they're actually located on San Joaquin Delta College, Community College campus. So that high school is actually located on the college campus. The kids take college courses in the morning, and they take their high school courses in the afternoon with Lodi Unified School District teachers. So they're getting both kinds of instruction. And so we're going to go and observe that. We have a 2-by-2 kind of a meeting where 2 trustees here and 2 trustees of the West Sac Early College Prep Board can discuss this a little bit more, maybe ask some questions based on the information that you have. The financial reports of the impacts to becoming a dependent charter school. At this point, the reality of West Sac Early College Prep and their financial sustainability is exactly what Trustee Alcala is mentioning. Why wait? Because, by waiting, we're talking about affecting however many students are in that particular program. Because to wait until the school has to close because financially they have no more money, those students would be affected in the middle of a school year in high school. And it would be detrimental in that it could possibly push out their graduation date to try to transfer and maneuver back into a system. The other thing is we don't actually have a guarantee that they'll come back to a comprehensive program because they've chosen an alternative program for a reason. So there's lots of things to think about here. If we are looking at having the school become a dependent charter under the Washington Unified School District, they would still keep a program entity of itself, their own identity. They would have an advisory board like they have now, only the advisory board would be under this governing board. And we would need transition. We can't just go, boom, fly into a new charter program without having some foundation laid. And so I've asked for the Early College Prep Charter to create a transition plan for us, for the governing board to review on what would it look like next year in transitioning to be a middle college, high school campus, with the understanding that they would become a dependent charter status at the end of this school year so that they can make their transition plan for next year. Now, there is still more information the board needs because I do believe Assistant Superintendent Landsberger needs to bring to the board the financial impact to Washington Unified in bringing in the school as a dependent charter.
So I guess my question is, obviously, it sounds like the school is interested in becoming a dependent charter.
Yes, they are. They have discussed this in their open session, and they don't want to fail the students. They want to offer this opportunity to the students here in West Sacramento under the guidance of Washington Unified School District.
And they are interested in doing this sooner rather than later.
Yes, because of the impact to the students for next school year, mid-year. Any other questions?
I just have a comment. When I first came on this board, they were a very successful charter. I remember the graduation, that all of their students graduated. And, you know, a bunch of them did go off to college, and it was very successful. And it's unfortunate that their numbers have declined, and I think this is a great way for them to come out and partner with us and offer these opportunities to our students and continue, and not just releasing them and continuing on their education. So I think, board member, did you have something? Oh.
I just wanted to say, I like the idea of the dependent charter and the dual
Enrollment, dual enrollment. Mhm.
But I'd also like to see if we're going to explore that for them, that we also explore it for River City.
Oh, yes, absolutely. It would be open to even students outside of West Sacramento. It would be open to all students of high school age, because that's what we're about. We are about allowing students to have choice of where they feel they would be successful. We're not taking from anybody. We're not necessarily taking those high-achieving students. We're talking about students who may be on a different track. Maybe they just want to get out of the comprehensive system. But in their junior year, if they have all their credits, why not help them to cut down their college costs to their families by staying a student of Washington Unified School District and being dually enrolled in West Sac Community College? That would be offering free college to the students while they are a high school student here in Washington Unified.
Oh, well, I guess I meant I wanted to see that same program implemented into River City. But let me ask you, Linda, how does that work? Do they attend the high school, and then would they be coming over to the campus for those courses, for those AA courses?
Yes. What it looks like is they would be attending whatever core classes they have to take in their high school, and then they would be going to the community college center and attending as a community college student. So the tuition would be free. Right now, the age limit of entering a community college is age 16, and so that's really a junior at this time. If there were enough students to make a classroom on the early college prep campus, the community college is looking at bringing a professor to the actual campus, but it has to be enough of students to make that class. So there's a lot of little variables in there, and I think opening it up, where River City students could choose that program, even go in as a junior, go in their senior year, start there as a ninth grader, whatever their choice may be. They are our students. I also wanted to show you, I got my, what we call our EdCal, and this is our administrative magazine or newspaper. And on the front page, it's Hayward Unified School District, and it's an article about middle college kids. And actually, they, the headline is about an 8th grade student. It's Kayla Dixon. And it says here, who aspires to be the first in her family to graduate college. But what Hayward Unified is doing, they already have it in place for high school. Now they've dropped it down to the 8th grade students. And they actually have partnered with Chabot College. Chabot College has changed their limit from age 16 down to accept 8th grade students as a community college student on certain classes. And they are actually getting taught a community college class by a community college professor to be able to get those 3 units that will follow them with their high school diploma.
That's awesome.
So it's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing. We have a lot of work to do to think more about this, and so we're going to go baby steps and bring the board information along the way on a consistent basis, so you are well-informed before making a final decision.
I have a couple questions.
Sure.
I don't know if I'd want my eighth grader in college class. I definitely think I wouldn't. So even though there's a cost benefit there for the AA, I also think there's some
Social,
other issues,
emotional, yes.
I would bring up, so here's my question, Lodi and Hayward in the paper, are those dependent charters or are those actual district programs?
Lodi is a dependent charter,
Okay.
yeah,
And do
of
you know
Lodi
about-
Unified School District.
Okay.
Yes.
And do you know about Hayward?
Hayward, I'm not, I
Okay,
believe
that's
it's
okay.
Hayward Unified,
Okay.
and they partner with Chabot College. So it is a dependent school of that district.
Okay, thank you. And then I think the big piece too is that if the kids aren't right now coming to school, that was one of our issues, coming to school, then we need to make sure that they're going to, this program.
Right,
And
right.
so I just don't want that piece to be a risk. We have to make sure that the kids are committed, that they understand that they have to
Right.
show, first and foremost, show up.
Right.
And the staff you had mentioned was stable, but it's 1 to 8, and I assume that would not be sustainable,
No, we.
even if they were dependent charter or anything else. That seems,
Yes, that's correct. And those are the kinds of conversations that we need to have when we realize the financial impact to bringing in this particular charter program. And I think that it's important for the early college prep school to understand the impact. It will not look the same. It will have a different identity. It will have a specialized identity for a specialized program. But to have 8 students in a classroom on average is just not sustainable. And they know that. The question is, how do we cut? And we're all going to have to be in that conversation.
do dependent charters, do we share classified, would our classified staff serve a dependent charter, or are they still separate in that regard?
Yeah, we could share services. So perhaps staff that are full-time there would be part-time here and part-time there.
Okay.
So they are our employees. They become our employees, classified and administrative and certificated.
Okay, and then we would be responsible for the evaluations?
Yes.
As you would with principals?
Absolutely.
Okay, okay. Does UC Davis in any way financially support them, or have they in the past, or is there grant money, or is it really more of a relationship support?
I'm not quite sure on that. I think it's more relational, where they had, in the very beginning of the charter, the pedagogy and the training that they provided to the staff itself. I'm not quite sure if there's any financial binding in there. I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think
the
so.
first year there was some type of grant. I think the very first year.
Okay.
I will say, I went to, when I first came onto the board, I went to one of their staff meetings, and now, as you mentioned, there's been so much turnover, it's not the same staff.
Right.
It's not the same feel. But when I was in that staff meeting, I was so impressed with what they were doing at that time, and now we're in a different place. But the reflection on students, the conversations that teachers were having, hey, I'm struggling with this student in math, oh, I am too, it was just really incredible. And then people were very vulnerable about a lesson I did that didn't work here, and other people were sharing. And every staff meeting they were having began with literature or some type of, here's some latest research. And so I know that there's a lot of good resources there with the folks that are involved with UC Davis, but it's getting back to that. Obviously, my preference is always keeping us completely in the district in a magnet program, but a dependent charter, I think, is a compromise that feels much better than where we've been.
Yeah, they're definitely our students,
Yes.
our program, our staff.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
We are to action items. 01, approval of 2015-16 Board of Education meeting calendar. Linda Luna.
Board of Trustees, the staff is bringing forward this evening to amend the Board of Education meeting calendar for this school year. Our board meeting on May 12th is the same evening as the city's State of the City address. And so with our partnership with the city, we are recommending that we reschedule our meeting to the night before Wednesday, May 11th, so that all of us can attend as the Board of Trustees, as Washington Unified School District, the city's event in representation of our partnership together.
Any questions or comments?
I'd like to move that we change the date.
Is there a second? Second?
I'll second, but first, do we have discussion after?
Yeah.
Well, no, it's
Yeah.
discussion now.
I'd like to,
Then I'll withdraw my motion.
I'd just like to share, I will support moving our date, but I will not support it in the future. And if it's truly a partnership, and that's why this is important for us to attend and move our date, then it goes both ways. And people don't schedule meetings on school board meetings when we've adopted a calendar a year in advance. So while I will support moving the date, I'll say my own husband is going to be in Washington, D.C. There's Police Week. I've made arrangements well in advance, and so it is, we want to be a partner, but it's frustrating to have to make changes when it could have been done beforehand.
Any more conversation?
No, I agree with Sarah. I mean, it's one of the reasons we had the meeting today. I like the consistency. I think it's important for us to have those meetings. You know, they've certainly had, I know there have been functions down in the main atrium before, and City Council has gone on and had their meetings. And I realize we want to be partners, but they should have, if they truly wanted to be partners, they should have been more cognizant of, you know, the days that we have our meetings. So I know this is not something I'm going to support.
Can I just add a little bit?
Yes.
Yeah, I understand your positions, and I agree with them to an extent, but I think as representatives, we should all have a role to play, and we should be, I think, there to support, you know, the state of the city. And I would certainly, for one, like to be there for that, especially this being my first go-round with being a representative on the board. So I guess with that, that's my rationale for wanting to do this.
Well, I believe we're all going. It's just, we are starting to have more and more events placed on our meeting days, which I've been on the board almost 4 years now, and we've always had our meetings the second and fourth Thursday of the month, and it'd just be nice to have some consideration. I know we're all going. We're all, looking forward to it as a team, but, I think we as a board do the same. We consider our meetings and other events that are going on in town too. So that's all we're asking. We're all going.
And this is a chamber event, we should say, not a city event. It is a chamber event, and we are members of the chamber. And I think we employ the most, if not the second most, employees in the city. And so with that said, as members of the chamber, I think that this is a meeting date that in the future needs to be looked at. And our meetings have been consistent for years since I've been here. And so, but it is important to note that this is not a city event, it's a chamber event. And I've gone every time and enjoyed it.
And we all sit together as Board of Trustees at the same table.
Absolutely.
No, it's okay. It's a great event. No
Yes.
problem. I just still object to changing.
That's,
It's okay.
so I know Kobe had the motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those not?
No?
Let's see. Approval of the second interim financial report of fiscal year 2015-16. Scott Landsberg, you have 5 minutes.
Go as fast as I can. My slide's only about 40, it's about 40 slides on my presentation, so we'll We'll move through it as quickly as possible.
I don't have one, so,
Really?
just kidding. I probably have one somewhere here. Everywhere. It's not 40.
I'll be brief, and I promise, the second interim report is going to be a lot better than what we just discussed a couple of minutes ago.
I like your graphics, by the way.
Thank you. I always like to start with just really quick budget life cycle. It's 22 months to get through a budget from the time that we first start preparing a budget. And in that life cycle right now, we're at the second interim report, which is data reported on expenditures through January 31st. Statutory date is March 16th, but of course, if your board meetings are falling before and after, we've provided information to the county. We can bring it to the board within a week of that, and we're fine. And we're currently working in 2 fiscal years. You're going to see the interim report for 15-16, and we've already started budget planning for 16-17. Here are the definitions of your 3 possible certifications for your budget: positive, qualified, or negative, and we are recommending a positive certification for your second interim report. The local control funding formula target is now $70.1 million, and that target is the funding level that, again, the state hopes to get to in 8 years. It changed just a little bit from the first interim report, and it is using the most current version of the calculator, which is version 16.2C. Boy, did I do two? Really quick, the target, just graphically, in case you want to see it a different way, and you can see the different parts and pieces. Your base grant is on the bottom. You get your grade span adjustment. We don't get anything for necessary small schools. Supplemental concentration, and then targeted instructional improvement block grant and home to school transportation are the 2 add-ons. Graphically, it shows both of them. The only add-on that the Washington Unified School District receives is home to school transportation for $411,000. So here's the comparison of the entitlement between the first interim report and the second interim report. The entitlement went from $7.825 million to $7.893 million, an increase of $68,349 from your first interim report. Year-over-year funding change of 14.36%. The multi-year projection, I think it's something that we want to start paying attention to, because as you run to the 16-17 and 17-18 school years, you'll see that in the prior, excuse me, go backwards really quick. Your funding gap for the current year is 51.9%, and is producing a $7.8 million entitlement. You see that, the funding gap percentage there, Mr. Pizzotti? When you go into the interim report, a funding gap of 49% and 45% respectively over the next 2 years is producing $3.5 and $2.2 million. So a high funding gap percentage does not translate into high dollars, because the gap has been decreased every year. So it's exponentially getting smaller. At one point, you're going to have 100% funding gap, and it's going to produce a few dollars, because they'll be that close to fully funding the local control funding formula. Department of Finance assumes best case scenario. These were updated in January, and again, as I said, it's an 8-year implementation to get fully funded. So in the second interim report, you have a multi-year projection, looks at the current year plus 2. You have the set-asides that we talked about in the budget for 15-16, and you'll see that we carried those set-asides forward, and we're doing proportional changes as we work through the year. You have a surplus in the current year of $3.3 million on the unrestricted side of the general fund. However, we need to be cognizant that you also receive $3.8 million in one-time funding. So if you net the 2 of those out, you actually are running a deficit of about $500,000. And that deficit is defined here. As you can see, the difference in between your prior and the current is you had a $3.3 million surplus. We increased revenues in between the first interim report and the second interim report of $98,000. You had an increase in salaries and benefits of about $263,000. We increased overall operations of $314,000, take out the prior year increase, and there's about a $5,000 variance in between the two, because we reconcile this. So if you go to the variance report in the lovely document that is attached to the board agenda and go to page SI 12, you'll see the variances listed out specifically. And so really, the difference in between the two periods is increases as we balance position control and increases as we balance operations and routine repair and maintenance. So there's a few risks with the second interim report, because there's always risks, because nobody's crystal ball is perfect. This current interim report does not account for any salary increases or benefit compensation that is not already in the budget stream. Second interim report also assumes that the P2 ADEA in April 2015 is going to be in line with historical performance. Remember, our district is in declining enrollment technically by about 50, it's not 50 kids, it's less than 50 kids. We're hoping that the ADA number is going to transition and be fairly close, but if for some reason the ADA is following the historical trend, then we'll technically be in declining enrollment when it comes to ADA as well. We get a one-year buffer. The charter school doesn't. So if our ADA number is less than it was last year, we'll get funded at last year's rate. However, next year, we'd get funded at declining enrollment. So we'll take a look at that when P2 ADA comes out. That's in April, and we'll show you the impact of that as you go into the next year, and how we can do some strategies to get ahead of declining enrollment so that it doesn't have an excessive negative impact on the financial statement. And as I know, the fund balance has one-time monies that are non-continuing appropriations in it, and so those are not going to continue year over year, especially at the $4 million level that we saw this year. So the next steps, we're going to continue to monitor P2. We'll make the adjustments and bring them back to you and show you what it looks like. We're going to monitor the charter school enrollment, because with the West Sac Charter School, remember, we now have 4 charter schools that are active in West Sacramento, and it does move money around a little bit, and it does have an impact on our enrollment in ADA. That's where the Lighthouse students, some of those students we know are Washington Unified kids. And then we'll continue the fiscal planning that we do, recognizing LCAP year 3 as we go through budget development, which has already started. Kylie and her team have met with department managers, and they're already starting to put together the parts and pieces for the 16-17 fiscal year. And we'll monitor activities at the Capitol. We'll bring you the May revise as that comes out, and have everything put into a nice package for you so that you can adopt your 16-17 budget in June. Any questions?
You know, Ms. Kirby Gonzalez probably has questions.
I have 2 questions. The first question is, quickly, so let's say that we had a dependent charter in this district. If the dependent charter served high school, if our River City High School, let's say, lost 5 students to that dependent charter, would that count as declining enrollment, or would that be any hit to our budget?
You would see it. And the reason why is because when you have a dependent charter school, and the recommendation that I would make is you account for the activities of the dependent charter school outside of Fund 1. You can actually set up a separate fund within the standardized account code structure to specifically monitor the activities of the charter school as far as its revenues and its expenditures. It's a good practice to have, because that way you can clearly see whether the activities of the charter school are running a surplus or a deficit, and know what your contribution, if you want to call it that, to the charter school would be. So you would see it, because it would make a shift if those students went from River City to this particular program, because you would enroll them in that program as dual enrollment.
Okay, so there would be a change to our budget.
There would be a shift in the budget, yes.
Okay. And then this graph right here, which
Yes.
is really helpful. But quickly, what is a necessary small school? You might have said that, but
No, I did not say that,
Okay.
because a necessary small school, we don't qualify for, because our high school is some 2,000 kids. A
Oh,
necessary
okay.
small school is one that is so small, but it's the only high school that you have, or a small school, it's typically a high school, that you have, but you have to run it. You cannot run it. For example, Esparta has a necessary small high school. They get additional funding on top of the normal appropriation, because the school is so small that from a business perspective, it doesn't pan out. So the state recognized that, and they gave extra money to those particular situations.
perfect, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, no questions? Board Member Hall?
No.
I just had 2 questions. Have we ever looked into, I know Epic's not under us, but if how many students they may have taken from Washington Unified?
Do we know?
No, I don't have that. We can follow up with that. I can ask Mr. Smith and his team if they can get some data from them, but I'm not aware of the population for Epic.
Not even estimate of maybe how many students they have, or?
I wouldn't even want to fathom.
Okay.
I know they had the school up by Sacramento Avenue. I believe it's the same organization, it's Gateway Community Charge, and they had a couple 150 kids there. And that's part of the reason why they moved from that location, closed that charter, opened up the new one, is because they couldn't house it there anymore. How many of those students are Washington Unified students, I do not know, but we could find that information out.
Yeah, because if we're declining, I like to know, you know, if they're going all to one location, you know, throughout the city. Because we talk about Lighthouse, but never hear Epic. I know a Lighthouse is under us, but.
Okay.
And this is a question, you know, I don't like to ever put you on the spot, but I'm going to ask anyway. So this week,
Okay.
I've seen a school bus picking up students throughout the week, and I know we're on spring break, and it's Washington Unified, so I'm just wondering.
If special education students that go to county-run programs in Woodland at Greengate are on the Woodland Joint Unified schedule, and I do not believe they're on spring break this week. And so we'd still be running transportation for special education students that have alternative programs.
And this is a real side note, but it'd probably be nice to educate the community a little bit more on when that little stop sign comes out from the bus. It means stop.
I'll work on that too. Thank you.
I know that's not in the budget, but it just dawned on me. No, I saw many cars ignore that, and it was a smaller bus, and that stop sign did come out, and cars just zipped right past it.
I do have one question. Scott, would we be able to get figures on how many students have moved out of the district? How many, Alicia mentioned, how many are in Epic? Because you said we've lost some students. So
Yeah, we
Could we
could,
get that
I'm sure we can get a full transfer in, transfer out, and give you, you know, the only student that we can't really track very well as far as a transfer out is a student that goes to a private school, because we don't have to give them permission to go to a private school. If they transfer to another public school, then we have to approve and sign off on it, and there's that document transfer in between the two entities. But on a private school, they're allowed to transfer to a private school.
And a charter school. They don't have to be released from the district.
I don't know that they have to be released for a charter school, but what I do know is over the years, we have kept track of inter-district transfers, and so that's some information that we can bring, you know, as we're losing some kids to other districts and other schools.
Yeah, and I believe at the beginning of the year, the declining enrollment number did correlate to Lighthouse charter school students, so I don't know if we dug any deeper to see, you know, what the spread is across all charter schools, but we can look at that.
yeah, because it could be a matter of economics. A lot of people moving out of the district, better job somewhere.
Well,
like that.
it is a good possibility. I recall when the economy was contracting and other districts were having problems, our enrollment, if you look at our enrollment over the years, it spiked. We would go up 100, 150 kids, and it's because families were moving back in, and you had multiple families in a single household, or they weren't sending their kids to the private school anymore because they didn't have the funds to do that. So when other groups were having a challenge with that, our enrollment was chugging right along, and it wasn't because we were building, because building had flattened off. I mean, developer fees were less than $100,000 and enrollment was going up. So I think as the economy went the other way, we saw the reverse of that, where those folks then started going back out into other opportunities versus staying within the district.
Well, and the interesting thing, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, because I understand the high school enrollment has gone up. So are these the declining, are they at the elementary schools? Or if it's one site, or?
I can get you the numbers specifically. I don't have them with me this evening, but I believe your statement is accurate that the overall population of River City High School is going up, but it didn't go up significantly. You're talking a handful of kids. So, and if you look at the seniors going out and the freshmen coming in, the current trend right now is the enrollment bubble is moving through the district is those are smaller classes than the senior classes in the next couple of years. So I think unless you get some additional growth in the district, you're going to see a little bit of a change in your high school population.
I would also say that when we talk about 47 students less this year in enrollment, when we look at our 9 or 10 programs, it could be like 3 or 4 kids per school site or something like that. So, you know, for it to be said, if the Lighthouse Charter School was not in operation, we would not be seeing the 47 kids, I'm sure, because it's mostly the kindergarten and first grade.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
With that, do I have a motion to approve the second interim financial report?
So moved.
Is there a
Second.
second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oh, and it's nice to be in the positive.
Thank you.
Job well done.
So we are with the approval of the resolution 151619 for the energy management system upgrade. Scott?
Yeah, the resolution you have in front of you is a mirror to the draft resolution that you saw 2 weeks ago. We had 2 public hearings. One was for Resolution 151618 and one for 151619. 18 was going to be for a contract to do new mechanical systems, and we had the conversation at the time that we were concerned about the pricing and the particular market at the time and whether or not it was a good buy. We had additional conversations amongst our team, and we have suspended that project, so that's why you do not have resolution number 18 in front of you. We're going to push that project out, and we're going to wait till the market is in favor of the district. Again, the funding source that was paying for that project is the Prop 39 energy efficiency funds. We don't lose any of them. The entitlement doesn't go away, and we are actually, I think this is the 3rd year of entitlement. We were going to front money out of Fund 25 to do the project and reimburse ourselves, so we're just going to wait another year and see what happens. We don't think that paying a premium of up to 30% above what the state is giving us for the project made sense. What you do have in front of you, though, is Resolution 151619, which is to upgrade the energy management system. We have 2 different systems in the district. And the older of the 2 systems they're not compatible, they don't talk to each other. And the older system, as it goes through its cycle and they have parts that fail, we can't replace the system or repair the system because we cannot get replacement parts. It's not on the market anymore. This was going to be in conjunction with doing the mechanical systems. But we decided to continue to move forward with this because as we have a site that goes offline, we can't control it anymore and everything becomes manual again. Purpose behind this system is to be able to, from a single location, monitor and adjust the controls for heat and ventilation throughout the district. And you can see when things are spiking and address issues before they become an issue, hopefully. So this is a contract with L&H Airco. It's to put in the Allerton system, if I'm getting my terminology correct, and the contract is for 7. Sorry, and I lost my $783,000 is the contract, and it will mirror the 2 systems and put the 2 systems together.
Is that district-wide?
Pardon me?
District-wide?
Yeah, we already have some in place. This will then make all of the energy management systems across the district the same. And basically what this is a control card that's going to be put into the mechanical system where it'll talk to the computer system.
Is there any more questions, comments?
I support this, but I do miss the days when a teacher or staff member could control their own air conditioning and heater, I will just say. But I understand the reasoning behind this.
Oh, they tell the students. Call the
Oh my
district if you
gosh.
want it to be colder.
Just know that hot lights right up against that sensor sometimes works.
And we can see the spike, trust me.
Good. Hopefully ours is set really well, so people are comfortable.
And we do, and just for your, to note, when there are concerns and they're brought to us, we do go out and evaluate, because it doesn't mean that, when somebody says it's too hot or it's too cold, and we look at the system, we say, well, the system says. You can have a bad thermostat, you can have a bad sensor, so we do go and evaluate when there are concerns that are brought to MOT's attention.
Great, thank you.
I think Board Member Alcala had
Just
a-
really quick, I was reviewing portion where they talked about the rec center, is that also going to have some sort of control on there, since we share it with the city? Is there a control on that also?
It is a newer system at River City High School, so it's already under Allerton controls. Part of the management agreement with the city for that site, the district is not in direct control, but we are working on changing that program with them because there have been some challenges with maintenance of the mechanical system. So that is an issue we're currently working through with the city.
Any more comments, questions? I know Board Member Pizzotti's.
I just think it's great that we have a teacher on the board that knows the tricks of the trade to get the air conditioner to come on.
Is there a motion to approve the resolution 151619 for the energy management system upgrade?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
This is a resolution, so it's a roll call vote. Board Member Pizzotti?
Aye.
Board Member Alcala?
Aye.
Board Member Kirby Gonzalez?
Aye.
And I too vote aye.
Thank you very much.
Item O4, approval of resolution 1516-20 for the reduction of 1.0 FTE classified employee services. Michael Reed.
So we're asking for approval of resolution 1516-20 for the reduction of 1 FTE classified employee services.
Any comments or questions? I'll make a quick comment and just say I know some people aren't happy with this change, but we do what is best for the district and for our students, and I approve this change myself. So if there's no more comments or questions, I get approval of resolution 1516-20.
So moved.
Second.
This is a resolution. Board Member Pizzotti?
Aye.
Board Member Alcala?
Aye.
Board Member Kirby Gonzalez?
Aye.
I too vote aye. We are to the consent agenda, and I need a motion to approve the consent agenda. Or approve it, rather.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Item Q, Board Governance. Second read and approval of Board Policy Administrative Regulations 5126, California State Seal of Biliteracy, Awards for Achievement, Educational Services.
This is the second and final read, so approving this tonight would actually make this a permanent part of your board policy to have the sealed biliteracy. And as Krista Koch shared last time, there are a number of students who qualify for this. It's a really exciting time. I might throw in just a little editorial piece. I was at my new board meeting last week, and they did a celebration of the students who had achieved it at their high school, and it was pretty exciting. And the kids were able to be honored by the board, and it was a pretty big deal. So I think it's a terrific kind of certificate to give to students and to demonstrate the importance of being bilingual.
Is there any comments or questions?
Yeah.
Board Member Pizzotti?
Okay. I just wondered, you said there's a number of students that qualify for this. Do you have a ballpark on how many?
If memory serves, I believe it was 58.
Oh, nice.
I think that was the number.
Same question.
Same question? Board Member Kirby Gonzalez?
Yeah, it's outstanding.
Board Member Pizzotti, did you have any questions on this? Like the seal or something? I recall seeing this
An
question.
email?
Yes. Did you get it answered?
I think that somewhat answered my question.
Okay. Okay, with that, we need a motion.
So moved.
Is there a second? To approve?
I will second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Before we get to future board agenda items, we had a flyer here that nobody mentioned, and this was exciting for all of us. This is the Youth Fire Academy class, 16-1. The West Sacramento Fire Department is having their graduation ceremony Sunday, let's see, what is it? April 24th, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I know this was exciting for us, and actually, I follow, there's a young man on Facebook that his mother tells us, and I saw him all dressed up going off to his first day, his first full day on the academy, so they're excited about it, so I'm excited about
What
going
was
to
the
see
time
this.
on that?
I'm sorry?
What was the time on the,
Do you have, you should have it.
You have one.
I did? Oh, there it is,
It's on
okay. Sorry, it's like, where'd it go?
Sunday,
It's
what is it, 6?
Oh, there it is.
Sunday at 3 o'clock.
Oh, 3 o'clock.
April 24th, yeah, at the city hall there. So that's exciting. So future board agenda items, we have the California Voting Rights Act and board trustee areas. I know the superintendent and administration's been working on information for us. The apprenticeship program, we've been getting information and working on that, so thank you, staff, for all your time. We do, I have my first blue slip for future board topics. It's working.
Very nice.
Board Member Pizzotti would like to see us talk about a resolution and adopt to endorse the Children, Education, and Healthcare Protection Act of 2016, Prop 30 extension. So we'd like to see some information on that and maybe drop a resolution and talk about it. Next meeting, unless the agenda's already too long. That's what.
That's basically what I said. Hey, if it's too long, we can wait a meeting.
So I'll give this to staff. Is there any more future agenda items? So we have to return to closed session to finish our last closed session item. It should be quick and painless.
That's what
Do we
you
need
always
to make
say.
a motion to extend our
Not if we can
time?
do it in 4 minutes.
Motion to extend beyond 10 o'clock.
Okay.
I'll
There's a
second.
motion. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're going to adjourn back into closed session.